In 2021, Labour Together were found guilty of breaking electoral law on 20 separate occasions. Having failed to declare £700,000 worth of donations, they were fined by the Electoral Commission. Earlier this month, their then director, Morgan McSweeney, was appointed Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff. That's quite the appointment for a Prime Minister who pledged to clean up politics and crack down on cronyism. But when it comes to Labour Together and their influence in government, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Over the last 12 months, Labour Together have paid for staff for 10 shadow ministers who went on to take up government posts. Former Labour Together employees have taken nominally non-partisan civil service jobs. And if you ask Downing Street for a government minister to appear on your news programme, you might not get one. You might get Jonathan Ashworth, Labour Together's chief executive, instead. Labelled Britain's first super PAC, Labour Together raised £1.9 million in the first 6 months of this year. That equates to more than half of the total sum of money made to political groups that are not political parties across the country in that time period. Follow the money and you'll trace £1 million of that total sum to a millionaire hedge fund manager. Labour Together's influence extends north of the border too, where they funded 17 of Scottish Labour's 37 MPs to the tune of £100,000. Their disdain for Scotland has obviously subsided since their former director George Simons, who was handed a safe seat by the Labour Party at the general election, suggested storing people smugglers in the north of Scotland. Keir Starmer's love for free tickets, glasses and clothes is important to know, but behind these headlines lie donations from some of Britain's richest men. At last year's Labour Party conference, business representatives accounted for a third of attendees, whereas trade union delegates made up just 3%. At this year's gathering, more than 500 lobbyists paid £3,000 for a chance to meet government ministers, and 1/5 of all climate events at the conference were sponsored by companies with links to the oil and gas industry. The Labour Party is being transformed from one funded by the trade union movement and organised labour into one bought and paid for from the Cayman Islands. Quite literally in the case of Quadrature Capital, Labour's largest ever donors, who are based in the Caribbean tax haven. Whoever pays the piper calls the tune. Why would Keir Starmer tax wealth when his election depends on millionaires? Just last week, Keir Starmer threw his Transport Secretary under a bus for referring to P&O, who illegally sacked 800 workers in 2022, as a cowboy operator in order to secure investment from their parent company. The right-wing press love to claim that the Labour Party is in the pocket of its trade union paymasters, but the reality is that as one millionaire after another pours thousands into Labour Together and the party itself, this could not be further from the truth.